Hi everyone, hope you're well. Welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Kanyinsola. Oh, I know you're probably thinking, where have you been, girl? Where have you been? But you didn't come here to hear me yarn and just chat about life and everything. Called Oloture, which is a movie that's right now out on Netflix. It's a Nollywood film. I feel like the themes in this film are just so poignant that I need to come and talk about it. We need to have a discussion, you know? I wanna do a review of it. And I'm gonna be talking about sex trafficking in Nigeria because that's literally what the whole film is based on. I'm very aware that there's sex trafficking all over the world, whether it's Romania, Poland, Ethiopia to Libya, Saudi Arabia, Dubai, India, America. There's sex trafficking all over the world, but the premise of this movie focuses mostly on Nigeria. Let me give you like a basic overview of what is the movie about. So we have a main character, her name is Ehi, and her actual name is Oloture. She goes undercover as a prostitute. She's a journalist who goes undercover as a prostitute, right? She goes into the life of brothels. She goes into brothels and she makes friends with, you know, different prostitutes. I wouldn't even say make friends, but you know what I mean. And just trying to understand the underworld of prostitution, right? That's basically what the movie's about. Along the line, she meets a madame who takes girls to Europe to basically live out the European dream or make more money in Europe, which we're going to get into why that's a falsehood. So she makes friends with another prostitute, Linda, who has a connection to how to get into Europe, and she has a madame who basically organizes and orchestrates that whole journey. So I don't want to spoil it too much. The filmmaker Mo speaking about how she doesn't want anyone to spoil it, like please, she takes God beg you, don't spoil it. So I'll try my best not to spoil it. However, if there is something I need to talk about that means that I have to just spoil it small, then I'm so sorry, but I have to. So let's begin with Sharon Uja's acting. You see, last year people were kicking. There was a tweet about, oh, which different Nigerian actors have the range, and you know, someone must have mentioned Sharon Uja. Is it Uja? I'm gonna say Uja because there's an extra O. If it was Oja, there would only be one O. So Uja. So someone must have said, oh, Sharon Uja has the range, right? And then another person must have said, which range? She now Range Rover. And everybody was kiki, you know. Listen, didn't know that 2020, Sharon said, I am coming for all your necks. I'm going to show you that I have the range. I have the mother effing range, okay? She really showed us. Because her acting in this movie was very, very, very strong. It was very phenomenal, like how she embodied the main character. The reason why I really enjoy seeing her in this role is because normally she's quite typecasted as, you know, a ditzy girl who's like either side chick or girlfriend or just very floaty characters. But this one was very, very strong. She really embodied the braveness of the main character. I just have to shout her out because I think she did a good job, even though there's some bits and bobs that I think but I think maybe that's just an issue with the direction maybe and the flow of it rather than her acting, because I think she did such a good job. So shout out to you, Sharon. This now brings me to the next point. The film is very, very raw and very emotionally intense. They didn't skip anything. You know, sometimes you watch a film and they skip trigger warning. I'm going to be talking about sexual violence, by the way. I should have said that at the beginning. They showed like the rawness of sexual violence, the rawness of like murders or just death. Like they really didn't hold back. Even nudity. Normally in Nollywood, we don't see our actors like naked. We don't see it. But this one, we saw like butts. We saw butts, like we saw nakedness, and I appreciate how they changed kind of like the narrative of what we usually see on screen, because as much as we might feel uncomfortable with it as viewers, it's the reality of what's going on. Right now, as I'm talking to you, there's probably some girls getting trafficked out of the country elsewhere. So it's very raw because it reflects the reality of what happens in life, and we can't escape it just for our own comfort, you know what I mean? Start to talk about the good things about the movie. And now I just have to talk about things that I wouldn't really say it's a con or criticism, it's just something I was observing. So in the movie, one of the main madams, I'm going to try not to spoil this film, it's going to be so hard, but I'm going to try. One of the main madam that's transporting girls or trafficking girls, every scene I saw her in, she was smoking. Every single scene. I understand that we're trying to embody like, oh, bad characters or evil characters, but I just found it a bit like, do better in terms of that. Do better. You don't have to, bad people don't smoke. It's not like every bad, I think that's just a Nigerian mentality that the bad thing musiga, yeah, bad girl, like no, sometimes good people also smoke, you know. It's not just like, oh, if yes, every single scene, you guys, I promise you, every single scene, this is how she was. Every single scene that Oloture was in, the main madame, the evil madame, I don't want to swear for her, but evil madame, every single scene that she was in was like this. I was like, is there no other way to can we not give her any other actions or any other prop? It's saying nice to get she go smoke die in this film. I was very tired of that part, but I see what they're trying to do. But I think it's just a Nigerian mentality where they think bad people smoke and good people don't, and it's like, can we cast that one out? It's not all the time. Her character, and she would ask them to pay her $1,200 US dollars. I don't know how much that is in Naira, but probably about 500 and something K. So once the girls paid her the money, then they would go through this whole process of rituals and just indoctrination into how they're going to basically move on to the next phase of actually making it to Europe. One thing I can say about her character is her character basically shows that not every woman is down for solidarity of womanhood. Like, not every woman is all about it. You know how they say, not all skin folk is kinfolk. That is Oloture. She's not your friend. I'll just be honest with you. She's not your friend. In fact, if anything, she's an agent of patriarchy. If anything, Oloture represents patriarchy in the cruelest form, where you have another woman do harm unto others. There was a scene where she had witnessed a character get sexually assaulted, and she felt no way about it. Like, she as long as she made the money, she didn't care. Sometimes your own worst enemy is the same gender as you. I think she acted the character very well. She played that cold-hearted, I don't care as long as I get my money. Of course, she was also a prostitute in her past life, but I felt like there was no empathy. Even though she'd also been in the same shoes, she didn't care. She as long as she got what she wanted, she didn't care. So the cold-heartedness of her character made me think, yeah, not every woman is for the ride, for the revolution, sis. Another character that made me think that, oh, you're such an agent of patriarchy is Belinda, actually. So Linda also recruits her sister. She thinks that she's doing her sister a favor by recruiting her to be basically trafficked to Europe. She thinks that, oh, if I pay for my sister myself, her sister's name is Blessing. Is it Blessing or Beauty? I think it was Beauty. I'll put the right name. She also recruits her sister to be trafficked, but I don't think she knew the extent of what was happening. She just thought that she was doing it so her sister could also live a good life. For me, if you know you're a prostitute, you know the ills of prostitution, in that context anyway, why would you now bring your little sister to... For me, I just thought that was really cruel. And I know someone's going to disagree with me and say, you know, she thought she was doing a great job for her, you know, for her family. But it's not like a job where you say refer a friend and, you know, it's a legit job. This is prostitution. This is like, you're going over to Europe to actually do more prostitution. It's not a world where it's just, oh, airy fairy, we get to England or we get to Italy and life is great. No, it's worse because you're still in debt to your madame. I've always been like kind of aware about human trafficking and sex trafficking, not just because I've seen it on the news, but through personal anecdotes of people that I've met. So I'm very aware of the cruelty and the harsh realities of what happens. When I went to Italy 2 years ago, I met women who had basically gone through that whole process, and the stories that they told me still shocks me to this very day. When I was younger, one of my mum's friends that we were close to actually had been human trafficked as well. So I've always been aware of it from a personal level. In 2013, Channel 4 brought out a documentary called Underreported World: Sex, Lies and Black Magic. That documentary gives great context to what happens in the world of human trafficking. I feel like I love Channel 4 documentaries because they don't filter their stuff. They give it to you the way it happens. I really appreciate them for that. And I think if you want to know more about it, that would have been a great starting point. I don't know if it's still available on 4OD or anything like that, but that would have been a brilliant starting point. So for me, I've always been aware about what happens. In 2018, I think it was recorded that 94% of women that have been sex trafficked from Nigeria actually come from Edo, which is wild to me. It's a very well-known phenomenon that's been happening. The UN are aware about it. Immigration services in Nigeria are aware about it. Everyone knows. It's not a secret. It's a well-known fact about what happens. This movie is actually based on, I think it's loosely based on the life of an actual journalist who went undercover. And after she went undercover, she went mad because of what she saw in the sex trafficking world. So it's a real, it's like, it's not a secret. This is real life. A lot of people have been saying, oh, I don't like how it ended. How could it end like that? Listen, this has been happening for years and years. I was actually even surprised I didn't cry when I was watching the movie because it was very, very harrowing stuff. Like, I was like, it was painful. It was a painful watch. It's so informative. So I couldn't just skip it just because it felt uncomfortable to me when I know it's somebody else's reality. Right now, somebody's going through that. Before I go into what the movie really reflected about Nigerian culture and our attitudes, I just wanted to make a quick point. I've recently been looking through Street Check. So Street Check is a website where you can check more information about a location, crime rates, employment, education, everything about it. And there's a particular trend I've been noticing in every single area that I look at. And that trend that I've been noticing is that the crimes that have the highest rates usually tend to be violence and sexual violence. It's always in like the top three. It doesn't matter if the area is an affluent area. It doesn't matter if it's like a very rough area. I promise you, sexual violence is going to be up top. So I think it's a global issue. It's a global problem. A lot of people didn't like the ending, but I felt like it reflected true things that happened in Nigerian society. Like, in Nigeria, there is a complicity in allowing sexual violence to take place. Reason why I say that is because in the movie, there was a particular scene where a woman was punched in public, beaten and dragged into a vehicle, and there were lots of people walking past. Nobody stepped in. Nobody even said, can I help? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Reason why I say that is because in the movie, there was a particular scene where a woman was punched in public, beaten and dragged into a vehicle, and there were lots of people walking past. Nobody stepped in. Nobody even said, can I help? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Another thing that I feel like, even me, this is one that I feel like I've been complicit in, is bribery and corruption is ingrained. This is why we see such a huge amount of profit being made from the human trafficking industry. It's because of bribery and corruption. I've been complicit in it. I'll tell you how I've been complicit in it myself, but one second. Authority figures and social agents that are meant to keep us all in check allow corruption to take place. There was a particular scene where one of the human traffickers had paid immigration services to turn a blind eye. What would have happened if he didn't turn a blind eye? If he said, no, I'm not taking your money, then we would have less women being trafficked into that whole industry. I know everyone might have their own tales of how they've allowed bribery to take place whilst in Nigeria. I try not to. Like, I remember when I was going to the beach one time in Nigeria and our car got stopped by the police. The police know when you're from abroad. Don't bother trying to think, oh, you're blending in. They know. And they were like, oh, do you have anything for the boys? And I said, no, because you didn't give me a service for me to be paying you. Like, that was one time I said, okay, no, I'm not gonna fall into the trap. But another time where I did fall into the trap is when I was coming back from Nigeria, and I had, like, you know, panla and, you know, that food stuff in my bag that they also suffering. If we all allow it to happen, we're all part of the system that's also breaking down. So it really helped me reflect on myself and how I've also played into the bribery and corruption that's happening through different institutions. In the movie, one thing that pissed me off was the lack of research methods. The ethics there was a mess. Let me explain. So Ehi was playing an undercover journalist, right? She was reporting back. She was a participant observer for what happens in prostitution and human trafficking, right? Tell me why. What do you call the people that are journalists, like a group of journalists or like a firm of journalists? I don't know what you call them, you know, because you normally say lawyer firm, but this wasn't a lawyer firm. This was a journalist firm. Let's just call them journalist firm because the word escapes me. The press team that she's working with, yeah, that's a better way to describe it. They had really rubbish ways of reporting back. They didn't hear from her in 24 hours. I just thought, where is the ethics in all of this? Where is the research method skills? Please, somebody. What is going on? This is atrocious journalism, because you put someone out into the lion's den and you don't even really proper track or make a method to track, or how you're going to help them escape if they get found out. Nothing. Ehi had the opportunity to back out, but she went with it as well, to the point that she did ritual with them. Those rituals, they're not child's play. You don't play with things like that. You do not play with things like that. I was just like, girl, you've taken this undercover thing too far. You've had enough evidence. The ethics in that department was just a mess. It was just a mess. And I felt like, even me that hates research methods, I was like, this is so wrong. That brings me to my next point. Nigerian police. There was no urgency. There was not an inkling of urgency. Like, if it was another crime or another case, maybe they would have more urgency. But because it was like human trafficking, and because they're so used to it, they're just like, we'll do it tomorrow. When it comes to sexual violence or domestic violence in Nigeria, they're on the man's side. More time they're on the man's side. They'll find a way to blame you, the victim. That's what they'll do. So that pissed me off as well. Another thing that this movie really highlighted was how politicians are enabled in Nigeria. There's no two ways about it. That was really reflected in a scene with one of the prostitutes, pimp, who beats her up. Oh, horrible guy, Chooks. He was telling Ehi, who was like, you know, when it comes to men in power, when they do you wrong, there's no point trying to get justice. Just chalk it down to experience, because nothing's going to happen to these men. They have all the power in the world. You're not going to get the justice you think you're going to get. And it's true. It happens everywhere. Look at Epstein. And I feel really sad because all the things I'm saying cannot change overnight. You need a complete overhaul, complete change. Another thing that this movie really brought out was a complete loss of consciousness and compassion for human beings. I understand that poverty drives you to do things that you wouldn't normally expect yourself to do. I really do get that. But there was just like a lack of compassion throughout. Apart from Ehi, there was just a lack of compassion or empathy that I saw within the characters. It felt like there was a loss of a nation's soul reflected in that. And that European dream is killing my people. Really and truly, it's killing my people, because you fall into the wrong hands because you're trying to make a better life for your family, for yourself, not realizing that people will take advantage of that. People who have no soul, who have no human feelings, will take advantage of that. And another thing that I really thought that the movie does is show how poverty breaks down family dynamics, and it creates a very toxic environment for the family. The reason why I say this is because we saw Linda bring her sister into such an evil underworld. I want to be very careful not to generalize, but I think there are some toxic families and some toxic mothers actually that encourage their children to go into an underworld of prostitution, encouraging their daughters to only date wealthy men so they can bring money back to the family. Not everyone, like I said, not everyone is like this, but it's reflective of some mothers. They turn a blind eye to what their children are doing. Having a daughter sell her body for income overrides that nurturing and safety instinct that normally would kick in. I feel like the movie was great. However, I would say do not watch it if you're easily triggered, because it's not going to give you the predictable ending that you want. But what the movie does do is it allows us to be introspective of what we allow to happen. But apart from that, it exposes just the cruelty of what happens. It exposes like the cruel nature of what happens. But I want to congratulate the entire cast and crew of the film that made it possible. And they did a really good job. I think they did a great job. People are hoping for a sequel, but I've seen my Abudu say, guys, this is real life, no sequel here. So yeah, hopefully my next video is a bit more light-hearted, because I feel like I've been giving you guys like heavy-hearted videos. So I'll try and find a way to make it light-hearted. Although I do want to review another film, Rocks, but we'll see about that. But we need to be able to cultivate joy, so I will find a way to bring some joy, spark some joy to your day. Okay, take care. Don't forget to subscribe, like, share the video. Please share it with your friends and your family. I appreciate your time. Take care.